Good day. Good day to you all. In this video class, I would like to discuss about various morphological, anatomical, and physiological responses or adaptations or modifications of the various ecological groups of the plants, namely the hydrophytes, xerophytes, epiphytes, halophytes, etc. So all the living organisms react to their environment and they bear the full impression of their environment in which they exist. In order to withstand the adverse conditions prevailing in their particular habitat, every living being, they have developed some morphological, anatomical and then physiological responses. Hydrophytes are such a group of the plants that they grow in water, near the water bodies or in wet places. Or hydrophytes are also called water plants or aquatic plants. Hydrophytes also called aquatic plants, also called water plants. These ecological groups of the plants, that is the hydrophytes, they have developed certain morphological, anatomical, physiological adaptations in order to adjust to the adverse conditions of their aquatic environment. Any of the body features which are suited to adapt and survive under such a natural habitats, in their the natural habitats are called adaptations. Any of the body features which are helpful in order to overcome the adverse conditions of the environment in which they live can be termed as the adaptations. It is these various morphological, anatomical and then physiological adaptations of the hydrophytes which are highly helpful to not only to withstand various adverse the conditions of the aquatic medium, but also highly useful for the survival in such a aquatic medium. So as I already mentioned, hydrophytes are nothing but also called water plants, also called aquatic plants. These are a group of plants usually found to occur near any of the freshwater medium, freshwater body. Namely, it may be the river, running river, a small water stream, or an open well, or even the pond, lakes, or ditches, or swamps, or a large the reservoir of the water, the large body of the water, reservoir, anything else. If we visit the nearby any of the water bodies, we certainly notice hundreds and thousands of very much diversified different hydrophytes. Different hydrophytes means what? Hydrophytes are the group of the plants. These are also called aquatic plants. Grows near the water body or in a wet places or in the water. Means what? They love to grow in stagnant water bodies, or they always love to grow the wet soil. That is nothing but the wet places, the water logged place, or in other words, the hydrophytes. Hydro means what? The water. Phyton means what? Plant. These are the group of the plants usually grow in water, termed as the hydrophytes. Examples may be given here. Hydrilla, Potamogeton. Potamogeton. Name of the hydrophyte. Marsilia. Marsilia. Then water hyacinth. Vallisneria. 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 Wolffia. Wolffia. Chara. Chara. Common lotus plant. Nymphaea. Nelumbo. Nelumbo. Nymphaea. Nymphaea. Azolla. Azolla. Then Utricularia. Utricularia. Then Ranunculus. 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 Many more plants. Ranunculus. Taipa. Rice varieties. Wild rice varieties and cultivating rice varieties. Rice varieties. Rice varieties. Then Cyperus. 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 Ceratophyllum. 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 Then like that, Marsilia, Azolla are the two such a aquatic pteridophytes. Hydrilla, Ceratophyllum, Potamogeton, Vallisneria, Chara, Nelumbo, Nymphaea, Azolla, Utricularia, Ranunculus, Wolffia. Wolffia. Number of hydrophytes. Usually these number of hydrophytes they grow in such a way that various hydrophytes usually grow various hydrophytes. Among the various hydrophytes, some of them usually found to occur on the banks of the water body. They near the water body. Some of them usually submerged. Some of them found to occur as a submerged hydrophyte. Some of them usually float freely upon the surface of the water, and some of them may be rooted or not rooted. Like that, based on the nutritional requirements of these group of the plants, like the nutritional requirement like water, and on the basis of the substratum, on the basis of the nature of the soil or the substratum, ecologists they have grouped plants into different groups, namely the hydrophytes, psammophytes, mesophytes, halophytes, epiphytes, like that. Okay, based on the nutritional requirement like water and other minerals and light and the nature of the soil, various hydrophytes usually they grow in aquatic medium in such a way that some of them usually grow always as a completely entirely a free floating plant. Some of the hydrophytes found to occur as a entirely submerged hydrophyte. Some of the hydrophytes as an amphibious hydrophyte, like that. Let me to discuss various adaptations of nothing but morphological, physiological and anatomical adaptations of these hydrophytes. These are the good examples of the hydrophytes. Morphological adaptations. Morphological adaptations. Morphological adaptations, you may call these as a adaptations or the modifications or the responses. Okay, morphological adaptations or morphological modifications, morphological responses of various hydrophytes. Keeping in mind almost every hydrophyte, it is better to consider the morphological adaptations. Morphological adaptations nothing but study of the external appearance of the plants, external morphological appearance of the plants known as morphological adaptations. Based on the fact that various hydrophytes are grouped under 5 different headings. The first group of the hydrophyte is submerged hydrophyte. Submerged examples may be given here. Examples are many. One common example it is hydrilla. We use this hydrilla as a laboratory, the specimen, model plant to undertake the physiological experiment. Hydrilla, it is one of the good aquatic plant. It is one of the submerged hydrophytes. Not only the hydrilla, there are many submerged plants. Hydrilla, Ceratophyllum, then Vallisneria, Potamogeton, Utricularia. These are some of the submerged hydrophytes. Utricularia, Ceratophyllum. It is a rootless aquatic plant found to occur in the water body as a suspended the hydrophyte. Okay, it is also considered to be as a submerged hydrophyte. Hydrilla, Ceratophyllum, Vallisneria, Utricularia are such a completely submerged the hydrophytes. Many other examples many other examples are also available, but remember few of them. Then the hydrophytes, submerged hydrophytes, floating hydrophytes. Among the floating hydrophytes, again they have made the 2 different groups: free floating hydrophytes and floating but rooted hydrophytes. So first group, second, third group, like that. And the next group, it is amphibious hydrophytes. For the floating hydrophytes, free floating hydrophytes are many. One common example it is Wolffia. It is a much smaller plant that it flows freely upon the water body. Wolffia is there, Trapa, Salvinia, Azolla are such a free floating hydrophytes. Wolffia, Azolla, then Salvinia are the good examples for free floating hydrophytes. Floating but rooted are also at another group of the hydrophytes. They float freely upon the surface of the water body, like swamps, ditches, the lakes or pond or any of the reservoir of the water, but they are rooted. Pistia is there, Eichhornia is there. Pistia, Eichhornia are the good examples of floating and rooted plant. Nympia, Nelumbo also comes under floating rooted plants. Then amphibious plants. Amphibious hydrophytes are at another subgroup of the hydrophytes. Certain hydrophytes usually they shows amphibian characteristic properties. Some portion of the plant remain present in the water, and other part or other portion of the plant is exposed in the air. anatomically the submerged part of the plant and aerial the portion of the plant shows different the characteristic properties. Anyhow, these amphibious the hydrophytes are at another subgroup of the hydrophytes. Various the rice varieties are good examples for the amphibious hydrophytes. Not only this, Marsilia is also one of the amphibious hydrophyte. Marsilia is there, rice is there, Sagittaria is there, then Neptunia is there. Many hydrophytes comes under and considered to be as an amphibious the hydrophytes. And even some of the hydrophytes they grow in a marshy places. All those plants are termed as a marshy plants. Cyperus and Scirpus. These two are good examples for the marshy plants, similar to that of the amphibious hydrophytes. And Thaipa, take for example, is also one of the such a similar plant. Comes under the amphibious, the group of the hydrophytes. Out of the submerged, floating but rooted and amphibious plants, morphological adaptations of these groups of the plants, it is very important. External appearance, external plant. Usually the land plants or the terrestrial plants or a tree, you exhibit a very huge, very heavy tree trunk and a much branched, much number of branches, much branched foliage, okay, and the root system is also very strong, very extensively developed. A network of very strong root system is present in the tall tree, land plant, a tall tree or a land plant. But remember, aquatic plants are very delicate, and in my word I can say that highly sensitive, very delicate plants. They don't exhibit a very huge or a very heavy tree trunk, strong root system, or these are never a much branched plants like that of the land plants or terrestrial plants. Hydrophytes are very delicate, means what? These group of the plants are adapted to grow under the water in order to exist in such a aquatic medium. They have to tolerate or they have to overcome some sort of adverse conditions. Adverse conditions means what? So in an aquatic medium, one can notice the presence of low availability of the oxygen. These aquatic plants are the hydrophytes, are the group of the plants. Usually they grow in the under the water bodies where the oxygen content is very less. So in order to get a plenty of oxygen, they have to develop certain very peculiar morphological and as well as anatomical adaptations so that they can survive in an aquatic medium. This is one thing. Another thing is that in an aquatic medium, like all terrestrial plants, these group of the hydrophytes also require various nutrients, macronutrients or micronutrients, various nutrients and minerals, the light, the carbon dioxide. Okay, so in order to flourish very well, in order to grow very well, these aquatic plants have to absorb all the basic requirements, all the basic the mineral nutrients mineral nutrients. So they have to get all the required mineral nutrients from the aquatic medium only. So aquatic medium, in an aquatic medium, all the basic requirements, the nutritional requirements are present mostly in the dissolved the state. So this is another the adverse situation or the condition. These groups of the plants, in order to survive, they have to develop certain such a morphological, anatomical, physiological the adaptations or the modifications which are suited to grow in such a aquatic medium. So aquatic medium, in an aquatic medium also, light, the availability of the light and temperature and other the climatic factors or other environmental factors also, it is different to the that of the land plants or the terrestrial plants. Usually the submerged plants never get the direct sunlight. So based on the nutritional requirement and based on the nature of the substratum on which the plant grows, the ecologists, they have grouped various hydrophytes under the 4 different headings, namely the submerged hydrophytes, as I already mentioned. So submerged hydrophytes, take for example, they never come into contact with the atmospheric air. They occur entirely or totally as a submerged hydrophyte. Completely the entire plant body is present within the water body. Such plants are termed as the submerged hydrophytes. Submerged hydrophytes, they never come into contact with the external atmospheric air or the direct sunlight. Okay, they get a sunlight mostly that is penetrated the sunlight or the very dim or low beam of the light. This is one thing. And the floating hydrophytes, usually they float freely upon the surface of the water body. They always come into contact with the light and the atmospheric air. So some of the hydrophytes, they always exposed to the light and exposed to the environmental air. Such a plants are termed as free floating. Among the free floating hydrophytes, there are 2 groups: free floating and free floating but rooted, like this. Free floating, they usually they never develop a root at all. Example maybe here, that is the Wolffia. Wolffia is one of the good example for a free floating plant. Roots, it never develops a root. Means what? If they are present, are very poorly developed roots. Wolffia, Salvinia, Azolla, like that, these are the free floating plants. Then on the other hand, free floating rooted plants are at another groups of the plants. So usually they float freely upon the surface of the water body, but they are rooted, they develop a root. So this root, it may come into contact with the soil. Sometimes in some of the hydrophytes, it may not contact the loose muddy soil which is present in the water body. Say for example in the swamps, ditches, the rivers, or any other lake or a pond itself. Rooted but in the free floating but rooted plants. Amphibious plants, they shows dimorphic or means what? These are adapted to grow on the land as well as in the water. Such a plants are termed as amphibious. Amphibious plants also require water always. They always grows near the water body. Usually in the aquatic medium, on the wet soil surface, whenever the place or the habitat filled with the water, some portion, some part of the plant usually submerged in the water, and other portion of the plant exposed in the air. Examples I have already given you earlier. So these various the conditions, various characters of the hydrophytes helps us to understand morphological adaptations of the hydrophytes. The first thing is that the root. As I already told you, root or a root system. Root system is very poorly developed in these various hydrophytes. It may be the free floating rooted plant, or it may be the amphibious plant, amphibious hydrophyte, or it may be the any of the submerged hydrophyte. In almost all the hydrophytes, the root or the root system, it is very poorly developed, or sometimes the root hairs even absent in some of the hydrophytes. Some of the free floating rooted hydrophytes, the true root hairs are totally absent. This is another the feature. Root is very poorly developed, the root hairs are absent, and the presence of the root cap is the character of the land plants. Instead, the root cap, it is absent in hydrophytes. Instead of the root cap, root pocket is present in some of the hydrophytes. This is another important, the morphological adaptive character of the hydrophytes. That is, the root system, it is poorly developed. One thing. Another thing is that if the root is present in some of the hydrophytes, it is exclusively meant for encourage purpose. Because as the entire or the whole body of the water plant, the hydrophyte, always present in an aquatic medium, in some of the hydrophytes, the entire surface of the body of the hydrophyte greatly participate in the process of the absorption of the water. The surface of the entire plant body involved in the absorption of the water and other mineral salts. So therefore, roots are meaningless in these groups of the hydrophytes. Roots are meaningless. If they are present, actually they may mean for encourage purpose. They have to attach, or they have to fix to the soil itself. For this purpose only, they may develop very poor, delicate the root itself. This is about the root system. Remember, the hydrophytes, they never develop at all very extensive, very long, strong root system like that of the land plants. The hydrophytes usually they develop very poor root. Means what? Poorly developed root system is present in hydrophytes. This is about the root system. Another morphological adaptation is that the stem in various hydrophytes is present in such a way that like that of the terrestrial the land plants, like a big tree, these plants never exhibit a very strong woody tree trunk, but instead these are very delicate plants adapted to grow under the water or near the water body. The plant body usually covered by the mucilage substance, mucilage layer. The surface of the entire plant body covered by the mucilage layer. If we try to touch them, we feel we feel that the mucilage substance is present on the surface of the plant body itself. So as such, the stem, the particular stem of the hydrophytes is concerned. In some of the free floating hydrophytes, the stem it is very long, slender and flexible, and even it is spongy in nature. So the spongy nature of the long floating stem help the plant for buoyancy, certain hydrophytes, they develop two types of the roots. That is the spongy root, that it helps the plant to float freely upon the water, and a normal root like that. Then as such, this particular the stem is concerned, certain free floating hydrophytes, they develop a long, spongy, slender the stem. Commonly you may call it as a runner. The spongy as it contains the air, it anatomically it shows the presence of the parenchyma. It is filled with the air, so therefore the parenchyma, spongy in appearance, the spongy, long, the slender, the runner stem is present in some of the free floating hydrophytes. This runner helps the free floating hydrophytes to float freely upon the surface of the water. This type of the stem helps for a buoyancy, to balance the water, to swim freely upon the surface of the water body. Such a type of the stem is present in some of the hydrophytes, and still in some other hydrophytes the stem is also poorly developed, and it is very short and bulbous, or it is very short and thick and spongy in nature. Okay, take for example in Nymphaea and Lumbo, the stem is very short, very short. Okay, stem is also not well developed. It is very poorly developed stem is present in almost different hydrophytes. Take for example in Ceratophyllum and in Hydrilla, stem it is very long, slender and flexible, and it is very weak. It is very weak. Remember, hydrophytes, they never develop a very strong the stem itself. They never develop a strong woody stem. They develop a flexible stem. They develop very weak stem. They develop very short stem. They develop very flexible green, yellow, that is the spongy stem. This is about the stem itself. And as such, the leaves are concerned. The leaves of various hydrophytes are concerned. Externally, we are studying about the morphological adaptations of the various hydrophytes, keeping in our mind almost the submerged hydrophytes, floating but rooted hydrophytes, and amphibious hydrophytes. In all these different groups of the hydrophytes, leaves also shows morphologically these are different and varied. Means what? Take for example, in a submerged hydrophytes, leaves are much dissected, very thin, flat and ribbon shaped. You may take into your consideration maybe the Hydrilla or Ceratophyllum or any of the submerged plant. Some of the plants even they shows heterophyly. Heterophyly means what? Two types of the leaves. Example may be given here, the ranunculus. the hydrophyte, it exhibited two types of the leaves. The submerged leaves are much dissected, long, and the thin ribbon-like, whereas the leaves which are present on the means what, the leaves which are come into contact with the air, which are present in the air on the above the surface of the water, are different each other itself. Heterophily is the unique characteristic property of the water plants or the hydrophytes, the leaves. Still in some of the hydrophytes, take for example, in free floating hydrophytes, leaves are very thick, spongy in appearance, thick and spongy. The above surface, that is the dorsal side, as it is exposed to the direct sunlight, it is much dark green in color, and the lower surface of the or lower ventral surface of the leaf, as it come into contact with the or as it always touches the water, usually on its lower side, lower ventral side, we notice the presence of the waxy layer. This waxy coating, take for example, this is the surface of the water. The leaf, as it flowed freely upon the surface of the water, the dorsal side of the leaf, it is dark green in color. The lower ventral surface of the leaf, it shows the presence of the waxy coating, the wax layer, the wax coating is present on its the dorsal side of the leaf itself. Some of the free floating hydrophytes, take for example the Nymphaea or Nelumbo species, they develop very broad leaves. Victoria regia, one of the hydrophyte, it develops very large, broad leaves, So these leaves are usually they shows the waxy coating, the layer of the wax on its the surface, particularly on its lower ventral surface. Still in some other hydrophytes, take for example, it may be the varieties of the rice or the taipa or any of the other marshy hydrophyte, marshy plant or a marshy